Manchester United are reportedly closing in on a deal to bring Boubacar Kamara to Manchester United during this January transfer window. On top of that, Newcastle United are still pursuing Jesse Lingard and want to get a deal done supposedly in the next coming hours as they put a further bid into Manchester United, according to Fabrizio Romano. There are more reports today across social media that Adama Traore is closing in on a deal to Tottenham Hotspur as well. All that and much, much more on the Done Deal show this morning. Make sure you've smashed that like button and subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's go. Afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are around the world. Lots to talk about and digest this morning. It's going to be a very busy next 7 to 10 days in terms of the transfer market. The international breaks on, so all the focus for the football clubs will be on these signings. And there's some big news breaking this morning that follows on from yesterday, really, in relation to Manchester United holding talks with Kamara. We, of course, spoke to the source of this information, Sasha Tavolieri, personally, over the course of yesterday. He's come out with a further update this morning. We've got a bit more information for you on that deal. But of course, all that information is relatively public already. Newcastle trying to sign Jesse Lingard again, according to Fabrizio. He says the deal is on. He says the deal is active. And of course, Tottenham trying to close in on Adama Traore. There's a desperation and need for extra quality at Tottenham. Is he the guy? Now, look, from my point of view, we're going to take your calls today because I want to hear from you. These are, your interactions, your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings are always the most important part of our shows. Legit. It's not about me. It's not about KJ. It's not about Jess. It's not about anybody that comes on. It's about you giving us your views and your opinions. Terry put background music on yesterday. Yeah, it does. It's part of StreamYard now. They have background music for the beginning bits. It's really cool. And it's copyright free. So there's no problems. Yeah. So I just don't know how all the songs go as of yet. But yeah, I appreciate you guys noticing that. I need to start with the Kamara news really today. So Kamara has been linked to Manchester United, like a number of midfield players, for large parts of the January transfer window. And you can see here, this is information. If you're part of our notification group chat, on Telegram below, you'd have seen this information yesterday. But Sasha and I spoke, and he said that Man United are making good progress in the deal. He said that Kamara's agent and Man United have already held talks and are very interested in the player, but Ralf Rangnick is unsure. The deal is active and on. What he spoke about, and of course, I can't put that into an entire tweet. We gave the full lowdown in the group chat. So if you're not part of that group chat, you need to go and sign up to it right now. Essentially, Man United are looking at him and they have big interest in him. There's no doubt about it. However, United have other targets, the likes of Hadara, Ruben Neves, Declan Rice still tops the priority list. And what United are trying to ascertain is whether or not signing Kamara now is going to impact or damage any of those future signings that may be further up the pecking order. But he's certainly a player that Rangnick and Manchester United like. He's certainly a player the club are seriously considering trying to sign this month. And this is normal. This is very, very normal when you have 4 or 5 options. Essentially, we've got 4 or 5 options, but Man United are going to have 2 to 3 midfield places to actually fill. Matic has passed it and got to go. Pogba is probably going to leave. Donny is unlikely to remain at the club, whether people like it or not. That's the reality of the situation. So having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 targets in their area in this circumstance contextually makes a lot of sense. But whether or not Kamara is the right guy now is the reason that things have been slightly delayed. The last week of the January window is when things typically start to speed up. But I think with the way United are playing at the moment, adding some extra steel into that midfield, some extra legs and extra body is going to be very, very key indeed. Now, I'm someone who what I tend to do when it comes down to these players, I use a lot of Y Scout. So I'm not going to sit there and watch dozens and dozens of Marseille games. I don't have the time or I don't have the time to do it, if that makes sense. But he's a very, very talented young player, is Kamara. 6 foot tall, strong, weighs about 70 to 72 kilos, very technically proficient as well. Very, very technically proficient in the way that he plays. And when you break him down, again, the way I view him, he spends the majority of his time beneath the halfway line, shielding and protecting that back line. And he's a very talented young man. That can't be denied. Whether he's going to be able to adapt that and bring that to the Premier League is a completely different kettle of fish. To be absolutely blunt, nobody knows. He has the technical ability. He has the athleticism. He has all of that in his favour to become and make a good Manchester United player, a good Premier League player. Whether that comes to fruition or not remains to be seen. But when you break down his defensive duties, winning nearly 70% of his defensive duels, over 50% of his slide tackles, over 60% of his aerial duels, just under 5 interceptions per game. Recoveries are massively high, just under 10 per game. But he does 30% of them in his opponent's half. That's when he spends time above that halfway line, when his team are pushing up and they're pressing. So there's large elements to his game which are very impressive. And for me, I then like to look at a defensive player and focus on the passing element of their game, because the passing element is very, very important. This is okay for what I see. Around a 90% passing accuracy, 81% passing accuracy to forward balls. In terms of passing the ball into the final third, again, most players, it typically, the further you're passing the ball forward, the worse the statistic appears. But it's about cross-referencing that. He passes into the final third, average around 8 per game with about a 70% pass completion. But remember, when you're passing into that final third, that's when you're passing generally into congested areas. So look, he's talented. He's got the ability. Whether or not he's the right guy or not remains to be seen. Every Man United fan and his dog is going to have a difference of opinion. But according to Sasha Tavolieri, a very, very credible, very, very respected journalist, Man United are making progress on the deal. They are working on it. The club are interested. Essentially, it's about Ralf Rangnick signing off. He may say, actually, I would rather wait until the summer and sign Ruben Neves, or I would rather wait until the summer and make the club go big for Declan Rice. That may be his point of call, but Kamara is more your defensive-based midfielder. So he's a little different to some of the guys that attack a little bit more forward thinking. So you can kind of separate the two. That's the position that we need. Bruno goes forward. Pogba goes forward. We've already seen in the last 3 or 4 games, although he's done an okay job in that kind of 6 role, we all prefer McTominay to be pushing further forward. What we need is a press-resistant, strong, athletic, technically gifted midfielder, anchoring that midfield, protecting that back four. Kamara could be that individual. But I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on that, my people. Let's take a look at your comments here. We did have a super chat from Man Like Lang and Sweet. He says, someone smash the like button, Terry. It's my birthday. Well, listen, congratulations and happy birthday to you. I know you've been a long-time viewer of the Football Terrace, and as a City fan. It means a lot to me. So happy birthday to you, my friend. Happy 21st. Thank you very much for all your contributions to the terrace over the time. It means a great deal to me. One of my moderators as well. Matthew here says, promising young 20-something-year-old. He will sit on United's bench and be mismanaged and badly coached until either they sell him. Listen, that's been the way things have gone. If Ralf Rangnick is given control at Man United, that isn't going to happen. It's all about the Glazers allowing someone like Ralf to manage the squad and manage the team properly. So is Donny leaving? Donny and Kamara play a very different position. Donny and Kamara are not the same type of player. So Kamara signing doesn't instantly mean that he's leaving. So that's the first thing that I would say. So slow down in relation to that. Paul Pogba's leaving, so you would say, well, maybe that's going to open up an opportunity. But having said that, he's been out injured for months now, and he still hasn't played. What I'd be looking more at are signings like Hadara. A signing like Hadara is more likely to damage Donny van de Beek's future because Hadara spends the majority of his time in front of the halfway line in the opponent's half. That's where he influences and touches the ball on the majority of occasions. That is more Donny van de Beek. So the Kamara deal isn't going to damage him. It could be Hadara as an example. And that's why some people said I'd rather Hadara than I would Kamara. The name's rhyme. It's bad. It's about look what they do on the pitch. Look what they do on the field of play. That is going to be hugely, hugely key for me. Terry, quick thought. All managers, Poch, Ten Hag, etc., are looking at. We're looking at like to use a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Maybe this is why Ralph has switched. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I said at the time, I said a few weeks ago, and got pelters from Man United fans, and it never made any sense for me, for Manchester United to be building a system that's going to work for Ralph if the new manager doesn't play like Ralph. It is just stupidity. And to continue with it. And I think Ralph would probably realize that. Spoke upstairs, they've come to these compromises, they've made these changes. Maybe that was one of the things that the players had a problem with. Listen, Ralph, we respect you, but why are we learning this system when we're looking at 2 or 3 managers that don't play like this? You know, happy mediums. And sometimes as a boss, sometimes a person who's in charge, if you listen to your subordinates, respect them, take on board what they say, implement an element of what they want, but then demand something back in return, like hard work, you can often get, yield a lot of fruit from that. So it appears that may be what he's done, because things have started to slightly improve at Manchester United in recent times. No chocolate today for me. Back on the diet. I'm actually going to go for a nice long run after this stream. And of course, get ready for tonight's Bet Victor Top 6 show at 6 o'clock, transfer special. So please make sure you were tuning in, please. It's going to be a great show. Lots of who we got on tonight. I just wrote the name down. We've got myself, Jess, KJ, Neeks, Louis, and man like Patrick all going to be on the show. So it's going to be a good one tonight. So make sure you are tuning in. In other transfer news today, in other transfer news, Fabrizio Romano has told us that Newcastle United are going to make another push for Jesse Lingard. I think his actual words were, I'm going to get them up on the screen for you now, that it's going to be fairly soon, I think. Fairly soon, where are we looking at here? He says here that Newcastle will push again on Jesse Lingard in the next hours. The Magpies board are working hard to sign him at least until the end of the season, and then he'll become a free agent. Negotiations ongoing with both Man United and Lingard's representatives. So Newcastle going in for him again, and they may end up in a situation where what's the word for it? They may end up just in a situation where they turn around and say, okay, look, we'll loan you until the end of the season, and then we'll speak again. If they stay up in the Premier League, maybe he signs for them. I think I just get the sense with Lingard, he doesn't want to commit to anybody just yet. It's almost, because if he goes to Newcastle and has a second half of the season like he had at West Ham, the world and his dog is going to be bending over backwards for him. And look, Newcastle have got a very good project upon their hands, but if he commits there to the next 5 years and they go to the Championship, they'll probably come straight back up, to be fair. But it's another year or so in obscurity. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that Jesse Lingard deal. But I can imagine him moving on. And I think Jesse Lingard leaving United is also going to play a part in maybe Man United signing a player. The other train of thought that Sasha Tavolieri and I discussed was United having players leave. And that's a very much a thought process that most people in the industry agree with, that United need to get rid before anybody else comes in. There are talks again of Sevilla and Juve coming back in for Anthony Martial, but we're going to touch on that more on the Bet Victor show at 6 p.m. today. And the other deal as well, I didn't realize there was an update from Fabrizio on this, but I saw a few other people speaking about it earlier, that Tottenham are now prepared to push on the Traore deal starting from today. That kind of makes sense with a few things that we were speaking about the other day, in the sense of a lot of these deals were going to happen when the international stroke winter break came along. Wolves wanted to get as much out of him as they could. They've got this January out the way now, but it says here talks will restart with Wolves to enter into the final details and reach an agreement. Club is confident of the new signing. And we had Dean Jones on the show just a couple of days ago that said but nearly a week ago now, actually, that said very much the same thing, that Spurs are confident. Spurs feel in the next week or so, week to 10 days, I think he said that the deal could be done and over the line. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that finalized pretty soon. Spurs really need to bring in a player or two. We saw yesterday, Spurs are going to be fine playing everybody outside the top 3 or 4. I think they're going to be very competitive against everybody outside of that. And I know they did well against Liverpool recently. They beat City at the beginning of the season. They'll be fine in the league against most others, but they need to start looking at bringing in some quality now. I know a lot of Tottenham fans don't necessarily think that Adama Traore actually represents that quality, but again, we will see. We have a comment here that says, Terry, Kamara is like a B-Tech Marquinhos. I see him going to Chelsea or United. Tuchel loves him. If you want a DM, Kamara is better than Tchouaméni. It's kind of a weird comment. It's like you're slagging them off, but praising him at the same time. But fair enough. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Terry, who is Kamara? I suggest you research him, my brother. You've got the internet because you're watching this. Give it a bit of research, do a little bit of reading, and go from there. Donny and Jesse and 30 million for Rice. Look, Donny van der Beek isn't going to go to West Ham, in my opinion. Not without there being Champions League football. So I don't see that happening, if I'm being absolutely honest. It would be nice, but I don't see it being a deal that will come to fruition. Hello, Todd. Hope you're well. Hope you're well, my friend. Hope you're good. Good to see you back. Let's go to some of your calls now. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling in relation to these deals. First up, we're going to get Mo on the show. Mo's a Manchester United fan. Mo, welcome back to the terrace. What do you want to say?
Hi there, Terry. Yeah, I'm feeling better after the weekend results. Still buzzing from that. In good spirits. Yeah, I mean, look, we just need to get a couple of deals done. Not a couple, even one deal done. I'll take one deal. If it's Kamara, it's Kamara. If it's Haidara, it's Haidara. But do you know who I want, man? After hearing him talk on Saturday, I want Declan, man. Like, I saw him play. I wasn't too much. I've always been a fan of him, but I've never because I know it's a very difficult deal to get him, so I didn't get excited about him anyway. But seeing him and listening to him play, like he's what, 21, 22, Terry. If you get him for 70 million, that's your DM for the next 8, 9, 10 years. It's a great investment. I think this Man United team, Terry, is a 4-3-3 team. I put Declan in that CDM, Pogba, Bruno, Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and then Ronaldo or whoever up front. That's a team. I mean, we don't need to go crazy in the summer, Terry. We just need 1 or 2 players. It doesn't need obviously we have to clear the deadwood out, of course, and back a couple of players. But we can have one superstar signing like a Declan. He won't cost 100 million. If we can give, I don't know, some players on top and give them 80 million, that could be a possible deal. It seems like Declan, I think Harry Maguire spoke to him, and what I heard was he asked Harry Maguire, how is United? How is the facilities and whatnot? And hearing him speak on Saturday, I'm not getting my hopes up, but there is something there. I don't know. Maybe he's just saying it for the cameras. I don't know. But, he just said he loves Old Trafford. He doesn't love. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think Declan Rice is sensational, and I know more about him than I do Haidara and Kamara and Zakaria because I watched the Premier League, and I actually watched most of West Ham's games, and I know what he can do in the Premier League. Look, are those lads in and around the same level as him? Yes, I think that they are. I think they all have qualities that are similar. Yeah. What we know about Declan Rice is that he is Prem proven. Yeah. And that isn't a dig at those individual, that isn't a dig at them. We just don't know how they're going to be. Equally, we've seen some big moves in the Premier League where players move and they don't quite deliver. Everybody expected Lukaku to come back full of confidence and absolutely destroy the Premier League because he's been here before. He hasn't done that, as an example. You then get other deals where Liverpool signed Diego Jota internally. No one thinks it's going to be that good a deal, and he turns into a deadly striker. So there's always caveats. There's always, will it work or will it not? But Declan Rice, for me,
do you think
magic wand? I'd love him at the club as well because I think he's a sensation.
What's your honest opinion, Ted? Do you think is there a possibility we can get him? Because the only team that I see after him might be like a Chelsea Apart from that, I don't see City coming in for him. Um, I don't. The only competition I see is probably Chelsea. I don't see him moving abroad, Terry. I just see us in Chelsea.
Chelsea. So essentially, what happened in the summer? We spoke to Dean Jones about this, and he said what he said was that Chelsea is his preferred destination. He'd love to go back to Chelsea. Chelsea Football Club love him internally. There was always this sense of sadness when he left. And I think they actually regret their decision to allow him to leave now massively. Not just because he's going to cost 70 plus million to bring back, but it's just almost a little bit of embarrassment. We let one of the Declan Rice is one of the best talents to ever come out of Chelsea Football Club. Like John Terry is the biggest star I feel to have ever come out in contemporary sense, but one of the biggest talents they've had. They've got Cho that's coming through that's excellent, and Mason Mount. I think positionally and in terms of how they're delivering week in week out in the Prem, Mason Mount's been their best for Deckers has been their best for a long time. However, Man United and Liverpool both inquired into the agent and said that, would he be interested in playing outside of London? He said yes to both. So essentially, if he can't get his Chelsea move, he isn't like set in his ways. Or if I don't go Chelsea, I'll stay at West Ham.
No.
Declan Rice has got big ambition. He wants to go to a Champions League club. He wants to play Champions League football. And ideally, he wants to challenge for the major honours. That's probably the biggest stumbling block for Man United. The biggest stumbling block for Man United is, can we actually create a team and have a strong enough structure at our football club so we are challenging?
Yeah, also,
if we can show that, there's a real chance Man United could get him, but Chelsea 100% are favourites.
Also, Kante and Jorginho, I'm not saying they're old, but they're 29, 30 now, so they're going to have to start slowly looking at other options of that midfield. That they're going to have to eventually look at it. Is Thomas Tuchel going to be there in the summer? We don't know. They spent 97 million, 100 million pound Lukaku. That's going to be probably a flop, I think. I don't think he's going to do well. I think he's 28, 29 now. So I don't see him. Yeah, I watched him yesterday. He's awful. That could be an advantage. Where does Chelsea have that kind of money to buy Declan? They probably do. I think honestly, Terry, it's going to be between United and Chelsea. I think whoever sells in the best project will win. Like, if we get some good projects, we've got you could be the main star at United. Like, one of the main stars, not the main star, but you'll definitely be. And you got Sancho there.
Yeah,
you've got Sancho there. You've got Harry Maguire there. You know what I mean? There is an English based setup there as well. You know what I mean? Like, he's got England teammates there that he's probably spoken to them about United. He must have done.
Yeah, and I think the England connection is a positive in the sense of he has a relationship with a fair number of these players.
Yeah,
we don't know who's going to be there come the end of the summer, but he'll know them personally as an example, and that always helps when you go.
There must be conversations.
Him going back to Chelsea, the reason that's seen as the best place for him is because he would go back into a team where he would be surrounded by people that he's very au fait with, that he's very comfortable with, that he knows. Yeah. It wouldn't feel like a new place. I think his connection with the England teammates will definitely help as well. Look, I think anyone who signs him are going to improve massively. Mo, great call, my friend. I really appreciate having your say. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
We have a comment here from Speaking Facts who says, let the Man United British fans' brains grow brains and know that Rice doesn't have the quality to solve what Man United need from a midfielder, which is controlling games. Neves with Zuma or Hadara can solve that. Firstly, I do get the sense there is an element of sort of anti-British nature in your voice, because to say that Declan Rice doesn't have the quality to control the midfield is an abomination to football. Ruben Neves is amazing. Will do a brilliant job at Man United. Basuma is another sensational talent that could do another very good job at Man United. Hadara, I haven't seen enough of him like I have Basuma, like I have Ruben Neves to praise him in the same way. They're all highly talented. They're all highly, highly talented. And as we were saying earlier on in the show, one midfielder is not enough for Manchester United. United need a mixture. Manchester United need to, for instance, when you look at what they've currently got, the way the setup is, they need a Rice and a Hadara. They need a Rice and a Basuma. We need to build out that midfield. It isn't about just buying one. The one issue with Rice, and we spoke about this the other day, he might cost £90 million. But when you think Hadara's seemingly available for 30, 40 million, Kamara, 10 million, Zakaria in the summer for free. Ruben Neves for 40 million. Basuma for 40 million. You could almost buy all the other midfielders for about 120, 130 million for almost the same price plus a bit of VAT for Declan Rice. So there is an element of saying, well, why don't you get Kamara for 10 million, Hadara for 30 million, and Ruben Neves for 40? You buy those three midfielders with Pogba leaving, Donny leaving, Matic not being good enough, and suddenly it's a whole new dimension. So I don't think any Manchester United fan thinks one midfielder is any. I said it all year. One midfielder isn't enough for Man United. It's a collection of them, a cocktail of them with different kind of abilities that is needed by the football club. But thank you. Strip Bear here with a super chat, super sicker. Thank you very, very much indeed for your donation. I really, really appreciate that. Dave here says that's cap. Rice is fantastic. Look, as we know on socials, there is a percentage of football fans who just have an issue with anybody that has a British passport, and it's weird to me really because we know that Declan Rice is an amazing football talent. So it's kind of weird to throw in his passport when we know how brilliant he is. But each to their own. Each to their own. Terry Zakaria is heading to Liverpool. That's why United are looking at other options. And I wouldn't disagree with that. We saw it with the Julian Alvarez deal. The Alvarez deal is amazing. Man United fans are sipping on the teat, on the nipple of the PR machine at their club. The same as a lot of fans do at their football clubs. Man United spoke to Julian Alvarez. I don't care what any tier one journalist says to me. I truly believe they spoke to him. But as we said at the time, they spoke and then distanced themselves very quickly because they didn't think the player was going to join. They weren't confident. The same as the Zakaria situation. United, in my opinion, have made an attempt to at least seek to know what the player is looking to do, held some form of talks. But because Zakaria isn't 100% I want Man United, that's where I really want to go, United have thrown water over all the conversations so that when he picks a team like Liverpool, we can straight away, and you'll see it. Let me just say this to you now. If he picks Liverpool and you see some of the tier ones tweet, the Liverpool-based might say United were in for him because they love to like take a dig, which I get and understand and respect. The neutral tier ones will probably say Man United didn't hold talks. Randomly, it'll be a whole tweet about Liverpool or Chelsea or Bayern Munich signing him, but then say, but Man United didn't hold talks. The Julian Alvarez news, this is all I'm going to say about it. The South American journalist who broke the news before anybody in Europe that Man City were closing in on Julian Alvarez. So before all the respected European journalists even knew, they didn't, not a single one. Go back through weeks of all these people to all the big tier ones from England and Europe. Go find me all their tweets and all their stories about Man City looking at Julian Alvarez. Not a peep, not a noise, not a sound. No detail anyway. This South American journalist had it right 5-6 hours before any of them. However, so he knew that. This man in Argentina knew before anybody in Manchester that Man United were close to signing him. And then you expect me to not believe that same journalist when he said Man United were pushing for the deal. I can't do it. I'm really sorry. I want to back my football club and I want to be good to my football club. But think about it logically. The same man 5,000 miles away that knew about Man City to Julian Alvarez before anybody, even locally in Manchester did, let alone across the country and across Europe. You're telling me I shouldn't believe him on the United talks, but I should believe him on the City ones. Come on. And listen, if you actually go and follow the guy and go through his tweets over a period of time, this guy isn't pretending to know about every single transfer that's going on in Europe. He literally doesn't. It was so specific, credible. That's it. United just got told no. The player just didn't want to go to Man United. So United were like, no, we didn't hold talks. So it happens all the time. But there we go. KJ, did you WhatsApp that to me, KJ? Let me have a little look, see what KJ sent me saying. I'm going to have a little butchers of what he just sent me. Let's get some more callers on, though. I want to hear from you today. Who are we going to go to? Paul Burke here says, Terry, Liverpool will not give any rival club an inkling of who they are going to sign. Liverpool leave smoke screens. Oh, I hear you on that. And Liverpool have been, Liverpool are very good at doing this, but also Liverpool fans buy into it. Like you guys enable Liverpool fans enable the narrative to be controlled because you just buy into it and you accept what they say. I'm just kind of not that way as a person. If something don't smell right, I can't help myself. It's a bit like you guys had the deal in the summer for is it Salniguez, and you basically agreed the fee element with Atletico, but not the personal terms. But it kept on getting denied by the Liverpool press. No, we're not chatting to him. But nearly every other journalist I spoke to was like, yeah, I've heard that. I got Peter O'Rourke spoke to Salniguez's agent who confirmed it. But Liverpool like, no, we ain't doing that. And that's because Liverpool are very good. And this isn't a dig, by the way. This is just the way that the world. Liverpool, they never want that coming out because they don't want the fans being angry if they didn't sign him. Now, ironically, he hasn't done very well at Chelsea, so nobody's angry anymore. It looks like a masterstroke. Now, what you get from Liverpool fans now is, so glad my club didn't sign him. Well, you weren't even in for him, though, were you? It's just the nature of the beast. But I just can't. It's hard for me to buy into the Pied Piper approach anymore. Something about it don't fit right with me. I'm just really happy as a man to go, yeah, we got rejected. I don't feel any way about being turned down by Julian Alvarez, or the fact that he wanted to go somewhere else and not Man United. I don't feel sad about it. So there's no need for me to sort of defend it, you know? Plus, I ain't believing the Glazers. I ain't doing it. I try not to do it. Sometimes I do, though. Sometimes I do. Right, let's go to some more calls here. The real G's on the show next. What are you saying?
Hi, Terry. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm very well, my friend. What do you want to say?
I just want to say, in relation to Kamara, I think if we were to put in a bid and we were to sign a player that is young, up and coming, and a DM, I think it can change our entire season. We look at our midfield. We've got McFred, and I'm never filled with confidence when I see them on the team sheet, and that happens to be every single game. So we don't win our midfield battles. And ultimately, we get dominated in the midfield and we concede goals. And I look at the game against West Ham. It was a 0-0 game. We managed to score a goal at the last minute and everyone was all happy. I wasn't kidded by that performance. And I look at us at the game before against Brentford and I see, again, domination in the first half because of the midfield. And if it wasn't for De Gea, we could easily have lost that game. So I look at the transfer news regularly and I see us linked with Kamara and players like Hadara and Zakaria. And I think if we can get a DM and we can push Pogba when he comes back and Bruno as the eights, and we have somebody there who knows how to pass forward, doesn't pass sideways like McTominay and Fred, I think we really do have a way that we can push on for that top four and get results and start winning midfield battles. And that's where I think we need to start. And I really hope that we're able to bring someone in this January.
Look, but I totally get where you're coming from, and I think that a better midfield is a key. The way I look at our midfield, barring Paul Pogba, when I look at our midfield, everybody has a problem. Matic's legs have gone. McTominay's passing isn't where it needs to be. Fred isn't press resistant. Donny van der Beek, we don't really know what his issues are because he never gets game time, but him not getting game time, that's the issue. So I kind of look at it from the point of view of we need some improvement in there. We need some better quality. And when I look at a lot of the better Premier League teams now, it's energy in the midfield, energy with quality on the ball. And look, I think of what I've seen of Kamara, looks talented. You know, Hadara looks talented. We all know how good Ruben Neves, Declan Rice is. I'd love a couple of those names I've mentioned thrown into this mix. And we're not going to sign them all now in January because Pogba's going to come back into the fray. So I think Hadara's that are more forward-thinking midfielders are less likely now. It's at DM. So that's why Kamara feels like it could be more of a deal. Just been sent a tweet, actually, from KJ about there's talk that Man United have offered him a deal of £120,000 per week. I have sent that information on to Sasha Tavolieri, who's very close to this deal at the moment, to see what he thinks and feels and what he knows, to see whether or not that's true. But we'll see. Say we do sign Kamara, though, and it strengthens up that midfield. Are you starting to see signs at Man United that it's starting to come together under Ralph?
Me personally, yes, I am. I mean, Ralph against I think it was Villa. He cost us the result with the late substitutions, and obviously he is a good manager. He's a good interim, and he's a good option. I don't feel that he'd be right for the job all time because we need someone upstairs. We have had jobs for the boys for years in that football club, and if we have someone that's got the football brain, football IQ to help educate people like Richard Arnold and other people, as long as Ranić is allowed control and to come in and voice his opinions when he goes upstairs, then we can really start to push forward. We don't need more false dawns as United fans. We've had this for years, since I was a child. So, we've had this for a long, long time where we have been promised things. We have looked for potential in the market for our squads, and it's never materialized. We have world-class players in our team. You look at Varane, Mr. Champions League. We can't drop someone like Varane into Mr. Europa Conference League. And same with Ronaldo. And this is a real possibility with the way we're playing. And I think Ranić has now come in. He's established some sort of control. He's dropped people like Maguire. He has come in and said, if you don't do things my way, you will have consequences. And I think if that continues and a DM does come in, I do think that there is real optimism for a positive rest of the season.
Yeah, listen, I think you speak a lot of sense, and it's the quality of the players is key, but it's the structure of the football club and people knowing that there's essentially like the hierarchy to listen to and people that they've got to, a way of doing things at the club. And I agree with you. And if we start doing that, I've been saying it for 9 years, that would be the improvement needed. The difference now is this. It's why when all these stories came out in the last few weeks of this player falling out and people not working hard, my one thought, even though I was angry, my anger was never really at Ralph. My anger was always at how dare these players feel empowered to do this? And it feels already like Ralph. I think Ralph needs to know how to manage it. He has to behave with decorum. He's got to behave with respect. There are times where he's got to say, okay, I got this wrong, but let's do this. And that humility earns you respect internally. So, but the club have got to get behind him. And not because he's Ralph Rangnick, but because of the position that he holds. The one thing that Man United fans have had a habit of forgetting is forget who the person is in the position, because you might not like that individual. It's the position that they hold that the club, in my view, has to protect. Listen, my guy, thank you very, very much for coming on and having your say. I really appreciate it. We'll speak to you soon. Great call. Call in again, though. Great call.
Cheers, Terry. Man. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the show, we've got Indiana back with us again. What are you saying, brother?
Good, Terry. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, my friend. What do you want to say, bro?
I think the main thing here is that we don't need that high-profile, big-name player to come in position. Actually, it's all about profile of player. And as long as we're not doing a Fred in terms of panic buying someone or getting it wrong, or a Harry Maguire, because I think that's what Declan Rice could be. As good as he is, there is such a thing as English tax, and paying silly money for him. And then it's Manchester United, and the pressure's on him. I'm not sure we should be going in for him. We should be strengthening this whole squad. Yeah, I expect him to play.
Okay, you're really breaking up, mate, bro. You're really breaking up badly. I can barely hear you again.
Is that better?
It's a little bit better. Yeah, and there's a bell that keeps going off. I don't know what it is.
That's my phone. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hear you on that. And sometimes I'm not so look, Kamara, we know who he is. He's not an obscure signing, but actually there's a lot less pressure coming in at about 10 million quid than there is coming in at 90. Look, you actually go through, we did it on the show the other day with Jess. We went through the top 30 highest transfer fee signings of all time across the top 4 leagues in Europe, and only named 5 that we would consider to be successes. The rest have nearly all either underwhelmed or completely flopped. So I'm quite encouraged about it. Sasha Tavolieri just come back to me actually and said that he's going to go and see if he can confirm that the contract levels that Z are suggesting have been offered. But that's huge if true. Huge if true. In terms of midfield, where else do you think is needed in your opinion?
I think the biggest problem is that we've got a load of players together over 5 or 6 managers. When you think about a system, you need players that fit that system. And again, I think that's why Donny doesn't play. I truly believe that, because he's a talented footballer, but I just don't think he fits with the group of players that we have for midfield. So Pogba's probably going to leave, right? I think managing players like Scott, and I think the showdown with the DM and players up front, it's all about balance. So I'm not really worried. I'm at the stage with Manchester United who we bring in anymore. I don't care. As long as they bring a manager and they're going to follow through with buying the players that he wants for his system, the right profile of player. I'm not worried about big name signings, Terry. It hasn't worked for us.
No, mate, I hear you. I totally hear you, bro. I really do. Indiana, top call, mate. And I'll give you a buzz a little bit later, mate. We'll speak soon. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, sorry.
Cheers, mate. Bye. I always hate it when I get a good call, good points, but the Wi-Fi is funny, man. It's always because it's hard to hear. Next on the show, True Red Devil is here. What are you saying, bro?
Hey, Terry.
How you doing, mate? What do you want to say?
I want to talk with the Kamara links, and basically for me, the whole issue is the focus is so much on what Ragnick wants, and I think it actually doesn't matter. And I think it's because you've got John Mehta, who's the football director, and none of the United fans are talking about it. This is the guy who basically oversaw the release of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the appointment of Ragnick, and they've been friends for a long time. And the reason I'm mentioning this is the person now who's in charge of recruitment, is the football director. Ragnick is a consultant. So I do think that Kamara might be a signing that has been identified by Ragnick. It sounds more like a Ragnick signing than a Declan Rice, for example, which is something everyone would throw at United, right? He's a good player in the Premier League. Sure, United should go for him. But Kamara sounds like a player that Ragnick would want. My only issue with this is I don't know what the long-term plan for this signings would be, because guaranteed, I don't think Ragnick won't be a coach come the end of the season. So you sign these players, you bring them in for which manager? You know, you're talking about those wages. They're yet to be confirmed, but you end up having a case where you've got Kamara on those wages, a new manager comes in and he doesn't fancy him at all. And then what? You know, at the moment you've got Anthony Martial, and I'll tell you what's happening with Anthony Martial. Man United are pricing him out of a move. He wants to leave. Let the guy go. You know, I like Martial. I absolutely love him. But the guy clearly wants to leave because he wants to get game time and play in the World Cup. But what's happening is Man United are saying, no, we're going to price him out of a deal. Put a 6 million tag on him. Probably Juventus are calling, hello, would like to make a deal for Anthony, hello, because they've cut the phone. You know, they're not taking a deal for Martial because they're pricing him out of a move.
Bro, I need to interrupt you. I get all of this, and this is why when you've been on here before attacking coaches and whatever else, we've always been sitting here talking about the way we run as a football club. And what I would say is this: I understand your trepidation. I hold those same fears, but it's a case of we just need to wait and see now. We just have to wait and see who we bring in, who that manager is, and we'll learn very, very quickly as to whether or not we're signing people for that right manager or not. And look, I do get your point. There's Myrtle there. A lot of people don't want to give Myrtle or Fletcher any credit. I'm still seeing Man United fans during games angry that Darren Fletcher's in and around on the bench. And I feel like the reason they're angry is because they're worried that if this does work, two of the people that they wanted gone, two of the people that they think were the problems. So I've had to mute you. It's very loud in the background. Sorry. A lot of the people they thought were problems could be part of the way of fixing the club. Now, for me, I'm not going to get carried away with anything. If the club, though, listen to what Ralph's got to say, if they let football men make football decisions and build a proper structure, build a proper ethos at the club, there's every chance that Man United can become successful. Why? Because we spend enough money to be successful. The difference between us and Manchester City is they've been run well and run consistently for a number of years. And until fans start focusing on the structure and make that the center point and put the pressure on that rather than on the players and on the coach every single game, I don't think much will change. But Russell, great call, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Next on the show, I'm going to go to Nipan Sharma, what you saying, bro?
I'm good. How are you, Terry?
I'm very well. What do you want to say, my friend?
Yeah, I just wanted to say about the Declan Rice deal. I mean, like you guys can have him. Like we might try and get Chouameni in from Monaco.
Yeah. You may do. You might be after him as an example. Who would you prefer if you had the option between Declan Rice and Chouameni? Who would you personally go and buy tomorrow?
Chouameni, but purely because he's cheaper.
Do you think he's better?
Talent-wise, they're the same. I think they're about the same in terms of talent, but he's just cheaper than Rice.
I hear you. He is a lot cheaper. You know, at least half the price in terms of what we've read in relation to that. Anybody else you'd like Chelsea to sign?
Sunday, and he wants to be at the Bridge.
He does want to be at the Bridge, and we thought there might have been some progress this month, but that hasn't really happened for Chelsea. It's not been a great month at all for Chelsea in terms of new deals.
Look, I honestly think if we don't get him now, we're gonna get him in the summer.
That could very well that could very well be true.
And look,
go on.
Kunde, if you're listening, I don't want to be at the club. Tell your agent to agree a fee and come to the Bridge where we will all love you. And thing is with him, like you can see he don't want to be there. Like I don't know if you watched the match against Barcelona, like Jordi Alba like did something really stupid and he just got the ball and like shoved it in his face and got himself sent off. And then it was that match against, I think it was an international game against Bosnia, in which he 2-foot tackled what's the name of that Arsenal player? I keep forgetting.
I don't know.
Oh yes, Said Kolasinac.
That's the one. Yeah.
2-foot tackled him and got himself. Clearly, there isn't something. Clearly, he's pissed off that he.
I hear you, my bro. I do. Listen, I really appreciate your call. Obviously, we're getting back to the Kamara stuff now, but thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Sharma, and we'll speak soon, buddy. Take care, my friend. Thank you. Next on the show, we're speaking to young Tommy. What are you saying, Tommy? Are you there, young Tommy?
I'm here, man. I'm here.
How you doing?
Not too good. Dropping points to an average Burnley team. So yeah, my country got knocked out against Tunisia. So not looking good for me, man. And my women are doing shit as well. So yeah, not looking good for me. But yeah, Kamara will be actually good. It'll be a good signing for either Chelsea or Man United. I was watching the videos of him just now. Actually, he moves the ball quicker. He scores goals and he's good on the ball. He's got quality to his game, and I think he'll be a good signing for either Man United or Chelsea. I think because you guys need a defensive midfielder, innit? Obviously, we need one as well. So I think it'll be a good signing for you guys. Obviously, then I think you guys will get him and see what happens as well.
Yeah, look, it's gonna be interesting to see how he does in terms of Arsenal. What's your expectations for this next sort of 10 days or so?
We need to get a defensive midfielder because this manager knew Partey, El Neni were going to AFCON and he loaned that Maitland-Niles, Guendouzi to leave. But this manager is clueless. He knew we had problems in midfield and he hasn't addressed it. He knew, we don't score enough goals and we need a striker. He knew all these problems. Him and Edu, they got to take blame for this. I'm sick of people defending this manager. He knows we've got problems in midfield, and to be honest, he's not. I want Ten Hag now because this manager needs to go, bro. But they're not going to sack him. Well, they're not going to sack him because when we finish 7th and get a stupid Conference League, everybody's going to say, "Oh, we've improved to 7th." Shut up, bruv. I want top 4 or top 6, not 7th place. That's not my level. But yeah, I want a defensive midfielder and I want a striker so we can get that top 4, top 6. But for me, if we can't beat teams like Burnley, I have to say this, top 4 is over for me. It's done. It's between you, Tottenham and West Ham. It's done for me, bruv. And people who can tell me I'm overreacting. No, I'm not. We can't be a woeful Burnley team. Congrats to them. They deserve the point. Congrats to Burnley, but we weren't good enough. Lacazette, sloppy, giving the ball away 5 times. What's all this nonsense, bruv? I want him out of my club. I want some of these players out of my club and start fresh because I've had enough. And he overplays Saka. Saka is tired. He overplays him. Are you trying to get him injured? He is tired. Let him rest. Saka is tired. So pissed off, man. Trust me.
I hear you, buddy. I really do.
I want Ten Hag. I want a top manager, not a rookie. The guy is out of his depth. He doesn't know what he's doing. Every time he gets his subs wrong, the formation, the tactics is not working. And people have hounded me when I never wanted him in the first place. I've been Arteta out since 2020. People have got on my back saying to me, why are you not backing? I'm not going to back a novice manager that used to put out comments for Pep Guardiola. No. And people have hounded me. And
mate,
they've got mud in their faces.
People have hounded me for allowing people like you to say that on air. They're not happy. They're not happy with me. They're not happy at all. They think it's wrong. But I don't think it is. I think you've got every right to say what
they've handed me and Lee Gunner. I like Lee Gunner. They've handed me and him when we don't rate this manager. People I'm sick of people making excuses for him as well. I like Jesse and Lucky Guy, nice guys. But stop making excuses for this manager. He's not good enough. We finished 8th twice. He's not good enough. He needs to be sacked now. Get me Ten Hag, get me Graham Potter, or get me Poch, or get me any top manager than this clown of a club. Get rid of Edu, get rid of Vinay, get rid of Kroenke. They're turning our club like a circus. Not good enough. Had enough of this bullshit.
I hear completely and utterly where you are coming from, my friend, and we'll speak again soon. Thank you, young Tommy.
Wolves will slap us as well. Wolves will slap us as well.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Take care, mate. Thank you, young Tommy. Thank you. He had to get it off his chest. This is a great comment. Terry Lull. You always say that they are done or close, and you're always wrong. Where is Hadara? Where is Zachariah? I keep getting told I shouldn't give any oxygen to trolls, but it does entertain me that you clearly see things like me sharing who said it, or I tweet who's put out the information, and then you try to twist it into Terry said it was going to happen. No, I didn't. Do you know the only 2 transfers in the last year that I've said I've been told something that isn't like mainstream that were close or going to happen was Varane to Man United, and it did, and Koundé to Chelsea, which didn't end up happening, but was very close to. They literally Sevilla up in the price at the 11th hour changed it all. So we know you're we know you're chatting, but equally, Dritan, you've been leaving negative comments on Football Terrace videos for nearly since I started in 2013 when I used to do 1 or 2 videos a month. Why are you still here, bro? How much do you really love me? Is it because you've got a secret crush on me, but you can't have me? Is it because I didn't give you enough attention? Do you want to be my friend? If you want to be my friend, we can work it out. Drop me a DM. I'll give you my number. We can have a chat, maybe meet and have a cup of coffee, because clearly, you actually love me. Clearly, this is like you've got a deep-rooted, affectionate crush, lust, maybe even love. Maybe you want to rub oil over my body like I'm Adama Traore. Maybe you want to whisper sweet nothings into my ear. Maybe we could even come to that arrangement. But just drop the hate, bro. Drop the hate, my friend. 9 years. 9 years. When I used to get 10 views a video, one of them was you giving me stick. You're still here. How in 9 years? It's either you haven't developed a life, which I think is harsh to say, or you're in love with me. Let's have a little chat, my friend. Let's have a chat. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I'm not feeling kinky. No, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I'm blushing. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's a weird one to me. Right, next on the show, I'm going to go to Adrian. Adrian's here. Are you there, Adrian? Adrian, so I'm going to go to Lord Vader. Lord Vader.
Terry, how are you doing, man?
Hello?
Terry, did you hear me?
Yes, we're live on the
Terry,
air. Yes.
how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm hosting a show. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I mean, well, see, I want to talk about the Boubacar Kamara deal.
It's really
Cheap.
hard.
I think it's
Sorry,
very good.
sorry, it's really hard to hear you. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Hold on a minute.
It's very like it's like you're talking into the like this, and then you got a car in the back.
Okay. What about now, Terry?
No, it's very echoey. Try calling back when you're in a quieter place, my friend. Sorry. Thank you. We're gonna go to Raphael. Raphael next on the show. When he unmutes, there he is. Raphael,
Yeah.
what you saying?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. Someone said. No, sorry. Someone said. No, has it gone? Someone's. This comment made me die. Where's it gone? Someone said, "Is this guy standing in the middle of the road?" I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but that made me laugh. I'm sorry. What do you want to say, Raf? What do you want to say, Raf?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So is it Kamara? Is it Boubacar Kamara?
Yes.
Well, is he gonna start for Man United? That's my question. Because it feels like the same question as Camavinga. Obviously, I'm a Real Madrid supporter. So before he came to Real Madrid, I had a lot of rumors that he was going to go to. I mean, United were interested. But my question is he going to start for you guys? Same question with Kamara.
He may do. Look, I look at it this way. If Man United for the past 9 years was signing players that the manager and his system wanted, and in this instance, what the club's new system they're trying to develop needs and wants, then yes, he'll play. It might take time to bleed him in. But the issue we've had at Man United is it looks like Donny wasn't a player that Ollie wanted. We know Fred wasn't a player that Jose Mourinho wanted. You know, every manager has told us when they've left that they've been given players that they didn't want, that they didn't ask for. As long as we're not doing that, we're fine. So that's where I'm like you. I asked that question, but not because is the player good enough to play football or not. It's more, do they fit what the manager and the director of football, the technical director are trying to collectively create? And if he does, then yeah, I think he'll play.
And also the other question is obviously right now you do have Ragnick, but in the future, I mean, in 6 months' time, I mean, it's not clear who's going to be your manager. So which begs the question: is he going to like? Is he going to like Kamara? First of all,
yeah. Which look, I think it's a case of, again, we should be picking players that suit the club's needs and how the club wants to play, rather than a manager. The manager should come in to get club playing how we want to play, and as long as we get that process right, there shouldn't be a problem. Yeah,
I mean, if Ragnick becomes your director of football, then yeah, I guess it makes sense, because obviously it's a director of football who actually sort of dictates the players that you buy, and then obviously as of today, managers come and go like a bit like players come and go. So I guess on that side it makes sense. I mean, what I was thinking of was someone like Camavinga. He came to Real Madrid, but he hasn't. I mean, he gets to play now and then, but not as much as he did. I mean, it's very hard to replace someone like Modric, who's doing so well. I mean, at the age of 37 now, I think this year. I mean, he plays like he's still in his 20s. He's so good. And I mean, if the embedding process of learning from, let's say, Modric and Kroos helps him, then fine. But I don't know. I felt like maybe he should have gone to a club like maybe Dortmund, for example.
Yeah, and that could have happened, and could have been good for him. Raphael, top man for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. All the best. And everybody that's tuned in, we're back 6 p.m. for the Bet Victor Top 6 show. So make sure you are all there. We're going to be looking at the Vlahovic move. We're going to be looking at Isak. We're going to be looking more at the Man United midfield options because I'm sure more news is going to come out in the next 5 hours or so. We're going to take a look at Tottenham. We're going to take a look at all the top 6 clubs, the transfers they're looking at, and discuss the big news from David Ornstein today that Man United are starting their pursuit now for their new manager. Before you leave here, hit the like button. Go to that Bet Victor show now and set yourself a reminder. We're live at 6 p.m. It's going to be a big one. Until then, take care. Goodbye.